Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. So today I'm going to show you how I made these Jammy star cookies. So basically like Jammy Dodgers in the shape of stars, jam in the middle and cream, I suppose jam and creams. But yeah, here it is. So it's just a sort of basic biscuit recipe to start with. What I've done is added 175 grams of cold unsalted butter and I've just cubed it and I've added that to a bowl. And I've added 250 grams of plain flour and a pinch of salt. And what I'm doing there is just rubbing the mixture between my fingertips, trying to not rub the butter between the palms of your hands because that will just heat the butter up, and that's not what we want to do. We want to crumble the butter into small pieces and coat those in the flour. So once you've got a crumbly mixture, you want to sift in 100 grams of icing sugar. Make sure you sift it just because icing sugar can get quite lumpy, especially if it's kept not in a completely dry area. And just a little tip, if you're sifting icing sugar, I tend to pop it in my sieve and then just stir it around with a spoon rather than shaking it about. I find that it just gets a lot less messy. And then I'm doing the exact same thing, I'm just rubbing all that together, making sure it's all combined. And crumbling the butter, if I see any big bits of butter, just crumbling those into smaller pieces. Now for this recipe you need 1 egg yolk. What I did was all of my egg whites to one side because egg whites are really useful in baking. You can also freeze egg whites and use them at a later date, so I would definitely recommend not just discarding it completely, definitely save it for something. And I'm also adding 1 teaspoon of vanilla extract. And again, I'm not using my mixer at all for this recipe, I'm just using my hands. It gets worse before it gets better at this stage, but keep crumbling it. Try not to put it into your palm of your hand because you want to keep it nice and cold, but the more you do this, you will see it gradually come together. See, now it's starting to come together and I can play around with it more. You don't want to work it too much because that's when your biscuits become a little bit tough. So you want to grab all of your biscuit out of the bowl and onto a surface, and you just want to briefly just knead it just until it's sort of all coming together and it's not sort of splitting off into crumbs, just until it's a bit more pliable. What I'm doing is I'm measuring the whole chunk of dough because I want to split this into 2 equal sized pieces. Once I've done that, I want to put them into separate, you can wrap them in cling film or pop them in some Tupperware, or what I did was just put them in these cellophane bags, and you want to pop them in the fridge for at least 30 minutes. So one of these doughs is going to make your base layer of your cookies and the other is going to make the top layer. And whilst they're in the fridge, I'm also going to line 2 baking trays with some baking parchment paper. I removed the dough from the fridge 15 minutes before I wanted to work with it, and I lightly floured my surface and rolled them out until they were about the thickness, it says about the thickness of a 50p coin, just quite thin, almost translucent. And I started cutting out my shape, so I used these star cutters. I found them on Amazon, they were really great. They came in a massive pack with some snowflake cutters as well, which is perfect for Christmas. Make sure you really flour that surface just so that they're so easy to pick off. I had a few that had to stick. The less you can work with this mixture, the better, because the lighter and snappier your biscuits will be. So try and work with it as few times as possible, so try and get as many stars cut out in one go, so then you don't have to constantly be rolling it up and trying it again. And then this was me with my second batch, and I'm just rolling it out again until about 50 pence a piece thick. This time I'm cutting out the same size stars as I did before. And what I'm also going to do is I'm going to stamp out a little star in the middle of each of them as well. The little stars I'm putting to one side, I put them on a separate baking tray and just baked them. I think I baked them in the end for around 10 minutes instead of 15. And they came out really nice. They're just a really nice sort of extra on the side. You could take this dough and roll it up again and cut more stars out, but I thought having, you know, little mini biscuits was quite a fun idea. So the stars with the holes in took a little bit less time, probably just under 15 minutes. Just keep an eye on them when they are nice and brown on the edges, but still golden in the middle. So once you're ready, I have just matched up the pairs of stars that go together quite nicely with the solid star on the bottom and the star with the hole in it on the top. For the filling, I've mixed together 50 grams of unsalted softened butter, 160 grams of icing sugar and 50 grams of seedless strawberry jam. Just mixed that in a mixer and popped it in a piping bag, and I've also popped 70 grams of jam in a separate piping bag. So with the buttercream filling, I just piped where the top star would sit onto the bottom star, and then I used just the plain jam to fill the star in the middle. So again, I completely forgot to get a video of how these turned out, but here is a little picture of how the Jammy star cookies turned out, and the little star cookies around them as well. So these went down really, really nicely, really nice change, and obviously you can do sort of whatever shapes you would like to, but I just really, really like stars, so that's what I did with these. Hope you enjoyed today's video, and I'll see you again next week with another video.